What's up, guys? This is Hit You Good, and today we're doing a review on Call of Duty Vanguard. Many have been asking the question, is it worth buying? Some who buy the next COD game every single year have seemingly pumped the brakes this time amid all the negative reviews, bugs, and problems, and if we're honest, the setting of the game overall. But before we get started, if you like today's content and you want to support your favorite all-American freedom-loving gamer, click the sub button below and help me reach my 1,000 subscriber goal by the end of the year. And of course, like and comment letting me know what you think of this next installment of the COD series. But without much further ado, let's dive in to Call of Duty Vanguard. Now, when we first heard that Call of Duty was going back to World War II, not many of us were too hyped about it. The last World War II game was absolute trash, if we're going to be honest, and the success of COD 2019 was starting to wear thin after Treyarch didn't exactly do the greatest job with Cold War. That being said, the only reason I bought this game was to do this video, hit my 1,000 sub goal by about 10 times over, name in lights, adoring fans, life of success and fame that leads to crippling depression, all that good stuff. But if this doesn't work out, this is probably just going to be a waste of $40. So, but yeah, I got the game on sale price for sure. Now, if you'd like to skip ahead to the multiplayer review or the zombies, I'll have chapters set up in the timeline that will allow you to do so. But I encourage you to hang around and watch all this video because we're about to dive into what, for me, was a straight-up cringy campaign. The biggest reason is all this forced diversity that comes off as fake and ridiculous. I mean, do we have to have this stuff in everything now? And I wouldn't mind at all if they brought out some believable, flawed characters that I can identify with and just stop just pushing race and gender in our faces. Yes, I see. I get it. He's black. Yes, I understand. She's a woman.
Does the Negro give orders in English too?
Why? Because I am a woman.
Bet you ain't never met a Negro before, neither. We ain't exactly in the credit-getting business.
I would not take orders from a Negro either.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man.
Stop focusing so much on race. Stop this minority narrative BS from being a crutch to your characters and storytelling. Stop treating it just as a box you check to keep the SJW hordes from squawking their brains out because you didn't depict the beaches of Normandy as being assaulted by a bunch of blue-hair feminists. The sad thing is that every time they cast a minority character, they're forced to treat said character with these kid gloves. All the time. Whoever the minority is, they better be flawless, they better be heroic, they better have 100% positive character traits. Otherwise, the cancel culture mob is coming after you for being racist for dare depicting minority character as anything short of angelically perfect. Unfortunately, all this does is lead to very uninteresting characters that we can't really identify with, and it's a shame because they aren't real. They don't seem like real people. We don't see their flaws. We don't see their struggles. They're just awesome all the time. And this is the whole reason Disney set the Star Wars saga ablaze was bad storytelling for the sake of political correctness.
You will remove these restraints and leave this cell with the door open.
I will remove these restraints and leave the cell with the door open.
Because in this game, I personally identified probably most with Wade. People will say, oh yeah, because he's white. Well, really, because he's white, he can have a more interesting character. He can be flawed. And Wade, well, he was pretty much an overconfident, cocky asshole at times, let's be honest. But he was interesting. He was fun. He made mistakes. He fell short at times. He was in over his head and others. And I could identify him, you know, because, well, I mean, you know, sometimes I'm an overconfident, cocky asshole, but, you know, this is a shame because we need good minority characters that are interesting, that don't have to be handled with kid gloves. Arthur Kingsley was the wisest, always has a plan, outright leader you could ever imagine. He could do no wrong. Just look at this beast right here, taking a cigarette butt to the neck and barely even wincing about it. Activision, once again, stop using this as a check mark on your diversity to-do list. Get your heads out of your asses and start having the guts to make some awesome, fallible characters with some depth to them. Anyways, let's talk a little bit more about the campaign. Because the cringe doesn't stop with the forced diversity. This even leaks into the multiplayer too, but they shifted into overdrive in some of these missions here. The whole thing, it just felt like I was playing something geared towards a 13-year-old. It was very I'd say cartoonish and very hand-holding. In fact, the game does a lot of hand-holding, and I know the main gist that developers were going for was a cinematic experience, and while cutscenes are cool, and they look immaculate, by the way, they did nail that, it's still a video game, and, let me play. I bought this to play, I didn't buy it to watch. While the cinematics and the cutscenes look absolutely riveting, like some of these look dang photorealistic. There's a few moments I had to remind myself that I was actually watching motion capture footage instead of live action footage. It's that good. I mean, just look at this. It's beautiful. But, however, there's other parts that really show that this game was developed in a year and a half and where they directed their focus. Wait a minute. I don't have any feet. How's it supposed to be boots on the ground if I ain't got any feet? There's other titles out there for the same price that just have that little extra polish, and they're years older than Vanguard. I mean, this might be a little nitpicky, but that attention to detail goes a long way for an immersive experience. It gives a really, it gives you a very neat world to explore and see what happens. But if I've got bulletproof fruit, it kind of makes me not want to explore anything else, because what's the point? Additionally, I've never been a big fan of this structure of this type of campaign. Admittedly, there are video games out there that use this and are awesome. But for Vanguard, you spend probably 80% of the entire game going through character introductions that only exist for the sole purpose of showcasing all the different theaters of war in 1945, while Arthur Kingsley gives a seriously in-depth and thoughtful narration of his teammates' personalities, even though he hasn't actually been around them that long. It seems kind of silly to take a bunch of random people from different countries together to work on this one super secret important mission, but I see why they kind of had to do it to accommodate the structure of the campaign. I'm just not a fan of that structure. You play as each player's past self that shows a little bit about them, but ultimately doesn't focus on the character themselves that much, except for maybe Polina's story. The rest is for showcasing more cinematics and giving you levels just to play through. So the main concept of all this is generally akin to the real-world scenario where the defeated Germans and SS officers began to scatter after Hitler's death, quickly making plans and connections to keep the Fourth Reich alive and in a position to come back once it's regained its military strength, much like in the real world 1945. It's kind of a similar experience with just different characters. But speaking of different characters, the character of Arthur Kingsley was loosely based on Sergeant Sidney Cornell, whose real-life story was actually multitudes more interesting and harrowing than the story that they made up for Kingsley. Sergeant Cornell was a member of the 7th Paratrooper Division and dropped behind enemy lines during the invasion of Normandy. He received the Distinguished Combat Medal for his actions and was wounded 4 times, each time refusing to go home to leave his brothers in arms on the front lines. But why didn't Activision want to tell the story of a real black paratrooper in World War II? I don't think that makes much sense. I really think that they could have just put the real guy in there and honored his life, and probably had even better gameplay. You could even keep his name the same, but, honor him. Let people know that our character is based on him, and this is his story. But once again, I didn't really see any real substantial reason to have more of these levels in the games other than just showcasing all the different, war fronts of World War II. Oh, man, that's awesome. That's a whole lot of unnecessary missions I'm not going to have to play through. And that's not to say that some weren't interesting, at least. I found the level in Stalingrad to be pretty fun and entertaining. Spend time with family? What do you think I'm playing this game for? Oh, hell yeah. This is how we have breakfast in America. You're missing 1911 beside the bacon, but, not too bad.
You've made me late again. I'll have to take the rooftops.
You're gonna get yourself killed climbing around out there.
In Soviet Russia, our streets are so shit, we must take roof to work. What the heck is this, Assassin's Creed?
Parkour!
Huh? And luckily, there was a very, very awful brick mason who made this building that just ended up saving our lives. Like, the only reason this is, I'm just holding W. It's just showing off a climbing mechanic. That's it. Oh, crap. Oh, it's not bomb, it's wood on face. And most of these levels were extremely linear, painfully linear.
Wait, no, the only way, you dickhead. That's enough, Des. This isn't a joke.
Kind of gives the vibes of just a shooting gallery style gameplay, and it would be if the game didn't look so dang good at times, to be honest. But there are some really corny mechanics in all this. Wade's levels are nothing but cheat codes of being able to see enemies everywhere. The AI for stealth is just horrible. You know, you'll have an enemy shining a light directly at you and never even alert anyone. Maybe if you played this on the hardest setting, maybe that would trigger something different, but I was just playing through for this video. Finally, they've introduced aimbots in the campaign, and you might as well get used to its presence before you hop into multiplayer, because it's going to be there too, just not for you. And then there's this boss level where Polina has to kill Steiner, and it's literally ripped right off of the Last of Us campaign while you're playing as Ellie. The fire, the having to stab him, having him mysteriously disappear after each encounter. Yeah, Sledgehammer, we saw that, and it's obvious y'all ripped this off of another game. I guarantee you they even looked at each other before this went out and said, you know what? People are going to say something, but they slapped a $60 price tag on it, and it shipped right out the door. It's PR's problem now. And remember when you used to die in Modern Warfare 2 back in the day, and some like really hard-hitting inspirational quote from a great hero of history would come across the screen, and you were like, hell yeah, let's do this again! Well, now you got the same thing, but it's some really cringy quotes from people who never existed, and you can just tell they're trying so hard to sound cool and heroic. But this is another aspect that just makes me think this was made for a 13-year-old. They would eat this crap up, but it just doesn't hit near as hard as Modern Warfare 2 quotes, not by a long shot. Hell, the Modern Warfare 2 quotes would have me hitting the pause button just to look up these people and see who they were in history and when they made these quotes and why they made these quotes. It was very interesting, you know, but Vanguard just falls on its face again, trying to emulate something they did back in the day and try to make it cool. So now I finished the campaign in one night. It's fairly easy. It would seem really short if it were a more interesting game. However, here's your spoiler alert here. If you really want to play it and it's not like some big twist at the end, I will say that I'm glad that I at least tried it. The end ties up a whole lot of loose ends. You find out why we're shooting each other in Caldera, which adds continuity to that, which I enjoy. Also lends continuity to the zombies mode, which is always good. And the secret Nazi files they discover at the very end of the game, it even mentions Project Nova, which I think is really cool. I kind of enjoyed the ending more than anything else in this game, and you had to play through several hours. I didn't even count how many hours, but to get there. But I don't know. Ultimate verdict, it's obvious this was made in a year and a half. Lots of cinematics, not much content. You'll have to deal with the forced diversity from time to time, and more than anything, the cartoony, childish nature of the narrative. Should you play it? I don't really think so. It's not that great. I mean, it's not awful. I think your time is better spent watching a video like this and then just going into multiplayer to level up your guns. I know that's how I would spend my time if I were you. And speaking of multiplayer, I was not as disappointed with multiplayer as I thought I would be. There was a lot of content creators just dumping on the game right now, and I'm not 100% sure that I agree with them. Of course, when they did their reviews, it's when it just came out, so you had a lot of technical glitches, and now it's considerably less so. But please, don't get me wrong. You know, you've played this game before. I promise you, you've played this game before. This is the epitome of the COD marketing formula that Activision rolls out every single year. Every now and then, they'll hit a banger like COD 2019, but most times, it really is just another device for the company to rake in some cash before Christmas rolls around. You've been over this ground before, not a whole lot of new here, and honestly, if I didn't need to level up my guns for Warzone, I definitely wouldn't be playing it, and I probably wouldn't be playing it if I didn't catch it on sale for 40 bucks. But it's not a huge drag to hop in on, but it's not riveting like Modern Warfare was. Same engine, worse game. Once again, the cringiness, y'all. The cringiness. The political correctness shines through when these guys don't even have the balls to label who the teams are. Back in the day with older COD titles that focused on World War II, you'd get a speech from the Fuhrer after the round, and it wasn't a big deal. No one cared. Nobody does today. Just stop treating us like a bunch of snowflakes and just put different factions in the game. It's not a big deal. Right now, it's just a bunch of World War II hero good guys fighting each other, and that doesn't make any sense. The only time you ever see a German in the game is the aftermatch replay when you all participate in democracy by voting for the MVP. Not who really did best, but just voting for the MVP, which doesn't make any sense either. If you captured or defended the most flags, if you got the most kills, guess what? You're the MVP. We don't need a panel to discuss who should get the reward. You look at the top of the scoreboard to see whose name pops up, and there you go. And 2, good lord, can we get some women characters that don't look so manly? I mean, once again, forced diversity does not serve the true purpose of diversity. Get off your high horses, Activision, and let me play the badass looking mofos from Modern Warfare. That's what I'm talking about. As far as the gameplay itself, this one is one of those CODs that rewards the player that spots the other first. Whoever pulls the trigger first is gonna win most gunfights. The time to kill is extremely fast. There's really not much room for tactical gameplay here, which I'm not a fan of. It's more chaotic if you like that, but I'd rather be able to take a shot or two and figure out where my enemy is and then engage him. And if they get me, that's fine. And even then, I'm operating at a disadvantage, but it's not just, you know, whoever's got the fastest reflexes, it's not just who sees the other one first. And not only this, but it seems they're trying to make the Vanguard guns the meta of Warzone, so they're increasing the attachments to 10 slots. Now, this can have a beneficial effect of confusing the meta, so you have less instances of God guns that just take over the game, until they get nerfed, that is. However, there's nothing that Activision does that doesn't have some motivation of money behind it, so it's probably just another ploy to get you to buy the game so you can level up these guns for Warzone. Matter of fact, everything they've done has been directed towards having to buy the game to level the guns for Warzone. Oh, did I mention even more cringe? Yeah, just take a look at the depths Activision is willing to go to monetize useless crap like this. Kill cam theme. Who wants to put this crap on their screen? It's basically a poorly rendered border you can force other people to watch if you get the in-game kill cam, and Activision wants to charge for this crap. Look at this. Whoever made this up needs to get fired. It takes up most of the screen. This is absolutely painful. I'd be embarrassed to show off the fact that I was dumb enough to buy this. Not only that, but it looks like in the future you're going to try to wring more money out of our wallets with calling card frames.
Money, that profit will make me wallet fat.
Y'all have absolutely no shame. Now, that doesn't mean that I haven't had fun playing this game. It's fun, but I'm really looking forward to getting these guns completely leveled up and hopping into Caldera. If you just habitually buy COD every year, this will take up some time until Modern Warfare 2 comes out at the end of the year, but it's a very mediocre experience. Tread with caution. If $60 is a chunk of money to you, I definitely recommend that. And last, but okay, well, it might actually be least, I brought a friend over, Tango, who runs Tango Style Gaming. He is my resident zombie expert, and he's going to take over and give you his assessment of the game's zombie mode. He loves zombies a lot more than I do. I always loved survival back in Modern Warfare, but he loves zombies. So go check out his Twitch stream. It's linked in the video description below, but I will leave the zombie review up to him.
Welcome everyone to the game review of Call of Duty Vanguard Zombies mode. Today we're going to be going over the artifacts, which are field upgrades from Cold War, as well as we're going to go over some of the what are known as covenants and some objectives, as well as the perks. For artifacts, you have the energy mine, which does exactly what it does in Cold War, as well as Ether Shroud, Ring of Fire, and Frost Blast. All of them do the exact same things that they do in Cold War. For the perks that are available in Vanguard Zombies are Fiendish Fortitude, which increases your health, Ethereal Haste, which boosts movement speed, Diabolical Damage, which increases critical damage, Venomous Vigor, which boosts your health regain speed, and Demonic Frenzy, which boosts your reload speed. Objectives housed within this game mode are Blitz, which is simply surviving until time runs out. Harvest, collecting runes and feeding them to the Eater of Sins. Transmit, which you follow an ethereal orb and kill zombies until you complete the transit. Vanguard Zombies also has the Altar of Covenants, which allots you some extra perks, if you will, such as Resurrectionist, which allows you to revive allies faster, or something like Brain Rot, the chance to turn enemies to your side, as well as some other niceties that are great to have in zombies. With that being said, there's also the Pack-a-Punch. Pack-a-Punch works a little bit different in this one, as it did in Cold War. This one, for Tier 1, instead of being 5,000, it's 7,500, with Tier 2 remaining 15,000 and Tier 3 remaining 30,000. That being said, with the Altar of the Covenant, the Pack-a-Punch doesn't do ammo modifications. Those are covered underneath the Covenants. Your Brain Rot, your Cryo Freeze, as well as your Dead Wire. And another thing with this Pack-a-Punch, the Pack-a-Punch, you can find pre-Pack-a-Punch weapons in the little ammo crates that you bust off, that you open up off the ground, as well as through the mystery box you can get a pre-Pack-a-Punch weapon. It's based off of the color of the weapon, the rarity, if you will, as you've seen in Cold War zombies, where the rarity causes an increase in strength. So if it has a gray or a white outline, that means there's no upgrade to it. It's the base bare bone weapon. If it's blue, it's the first tier Pack-a-Punch, purple is the second tier Pack-a-Punch, and then orange is your third tier Pack-a-Punch. So if you find that orange weapon, you might want to pick that thing up, because it's going to be the strongest thing you possibly find. However, as you know and are all aware if you've ever played the zombies mode, any tier Pack-a-Punch will definitely help you out. And with all of that being said, there are 3 types of zombies that you can face when you play the zombies mode in Vanguard. That's your regular zombie, who, as you can see there, they walk, they crawl, they run, they shamble, the whole 9. Then you have the boom shriekers, which, as you see running up, they glow red, they act just like tormentors or hellhounds from Cold War. They explode when they get too close to you, and they deal 75 points worth of damage, which is 3/4 of your initial health. The only way to combat that is Fiendish Fortitude to increase your health up to a maximum of 300 points. The last guy you see here shooting me with a minigun is the Sturmkrieger. The Sturmkrieger is the equivalent of the Krasny Soldat from Cold War, or the tank from Black Ops 3 Origins. They're extremely difficult to kill. My go-to is a triple Pack-a-Punch shotgun, but you use what you use and you whoop that ass, and you just do nothing but critical shots, and you're guaranteed to take him down. Alright y'all, that wraps it up for today's game review for Call of Duty Vanguard Zombies mode.
Well, there you have it, guys. Vanguard is just straight cringe across the board. I probably wouldn't recommend buying this game, and I'd say it's mediocre at best. But if you made it all the way to the end, I definitely appreciate you. If you'd like to support your favorite all-American freedom-loving gamer even more, click the subscribe button down below and leave a comment and a like on this video. Trying to reach 1,000 subs by the end of the year. But other than that, happy gaming, and God bless. Well, there you have it, guys. Vanguard is just pure cringe across the board. I probably would not recommend buying this game. It's mediocre at best. Y'all are... What? Stop interrupting my recording. Yes, you're cute, but you got attention now. Yeah. You got attention. Look at the camera. Look here. Here. Wave to him. Wave to people.